Hey there folks, welcome back to another video. And today we're taking a look at the newest Halloween 1978 Myers mask that I've done. This one's been in the works for a couple of weeks now. Probably a little bit longer than that. I've been pretty busy. But this is for a customer. I finished it up earlier this week. I just haven't gotten a chance to do a video on it just yet. But this is the a 1978 Myers mask on the Kirk, the newest version of the Kirk. I guess it's just the Don Post Studios mask. It's not actually licensed as a Star Trek mask. I was kind of interested to work on this. It wasn't my idea. I probably would have just done another Boogeyman, but this was the idea of the customer. He wanted to try out the new Kirk, which I was down to do. I really only have two gripes with the mold, really. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good. There's some things they probably would do different next time. And also, this isn't, as far as the way that the mask is done, it's a little bit more in the customer's preference than mine. Although I don't know, I think we strike a good balance. But there's some things that I definitely want to try differently next time I do this. But the two things that I kind of don't really like about the sculpt is this eyebrow. It's very similar to the Boogeyman, where it's flat. Like, you got a nice structure eyebrow right here when it comes to the detail and the kind of the shape of it. It's more pronounced. It's more 3D. Whereas this one just is like flat. I don't get it. The Boogeyman is like that as well. I don't understand. It's also more of like it's almost more like a banana shape, whereas this one kind of stays, it's a little bit bent forward here, mostly stays straight and then tapers off at the end. Whereas this kind of looks more like an even curve. And when I look at the 78 mask, I don't see that. So I'm not a big fan of that. The other thing is these sculpted glue lines. I mean, Trick or Treat Studios knows that we're rehauling these. So I really wish that they would stop putting these sculpted lines in there. And then there's like a line right here. And then there's another line right behind it that goes all the way through. So they put all these sculpt lines in there for guidelines for the mask. But like, sure, you need the hair. You need a template for the hair when you're doing it. But like I said, they know that we're remodeling or rehauling these into Michael Myers masks. So I don't get why they're doing that. I also don't think that they're the right shape anyway for a Kirk mask. But whatever. So that's a bit of an eyesore. I tried to do something a little bit differently to cover it up. For the majority of the skin tone base, I did airbrushing, but for right here, I try to do a lot of it by hand to kind of thicken up that area's paint and offer a little bit of texture. The customer didn't want too much texture throughout the mask, but I thought if I did that, it would kind of help, but it's just, it didn't really work out as best. I'll show you an idea. This is kind of the idea that I was going for. This is another Boogeyman. This one I did all of the skin tone by hand to create this kind of rough texture. And also you kind of lost a little bit of detail on the eyebrows, but that's fine. It'll work out in the end. But like, you can see that kind of rough texture. That's kind of what I was going for this. At least in those areas to kind of help that. But yeah. Otherwise, I do really like the sculpt. It's a bit difficult. This is my first time having to completely do the eyes by scratch with my CV Castle Stretch mask from Chris Venekamp. There was still kind of a guideline there, so this is the first time I had to do it completely on my own, and they're not perfect. But I think that they're close enough. I think they're okay. The customer's happy with them. I think that they're solid enough. The eyes are probably still one of my biggest challenges when it comes to these masks. As far as the glue lines that I added, I used a couple of different things. I used tacky glue to kind of build the shape of it, and then I did a little bit of latex to get that color in there, and then I did a little bit of paint on top, a little bit of white paint on top. As you can see, this one stems off from this hair, comes down in a nice shape, and then jets back up, and then this one kind of more so stays straight with this little triangular piece right there that you can see in some of the behind the scenes images. And this one comes down. There's not much of a gap between these two areas right here, probably as much as I'd like there to be. So next time, I would prefer this to be pulled back a little bit, but also again, that sculpted line is right there, and I'm not a fan of that. So but yeah, there's a little bit of white paint in the hair. I started to kind of dabble with that. I do really like the look of that. It just adds a lot more of a gritty texture to the mask, makes it look a lot more handmade, which I really do like. There's some black spray in the hair. The hair is just kind of this camel hair that I found on Etsy. It's Angel something, I believe. I can't remember the exact name, but I got a lot of it. I still have a lot. I got like a pound, 2 pounds, maybe it was more than half a pound. But whatever their base is, whether it's a half a pound or a pound, I got double the amount. So I either got a full pound or 2 pounds. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I still have a big container of it, and I've done at least 9 masks now with it, I'm pretty sure, and I've wasted some on accident. So yeah, a lot of the nice little areas on the back of the mask are pinched together. The little horns on the back there, you got some horns running through up the side of the head, some that are a little bit less pronounced, more faint, kind of laying down in there. And I've really tried to make it look, tried to make the hair look good in terms of when it comes to photography, because a lot of the time I'll do the hair and I think it looks really good in person, but then when I take the camera to it, everything looks too tall, especially with a Halloween 2 mask. It looks too tall. So I've really tried to limit the pompadour in the front and really tighten down the sides, but not make it too tight. I don't think the lens that I have going right now really does this justice. It's making the neck really look, it's making the neck look really thin and the hair a little bit big. I'll switch over to this setting a little bit later on and we'll zoom in. But anyway, in person, I think it looks really good. I think once the customer sees it in person, it'll be a whole other ball game. I just don't think that, really doing this with a phone camera really captures it. It just doesn't have the right lens to get it to look the way that I want to. And I run into that problem quite often if I'm being honest. But as far as the overall shape of the hair goes, I really like it. I think this stuff looks pretty good. Next time I'd probably go back to my crepe and use a blonde color to start with. I just didn't have any of that this time around. The mouth has been cut open. I have a little bit of a trick that I do in the inside of the mask to get the bridge of the nose a little bit tighter. I won't be disclosing those secrets right here. I want to do a video on it eventually down the road to show how that's done. The pinhole right there on the side of the neck, it's probably a little bit high. It's kind of hard to tell. Some of the images that you see, it looks really high, but I think with this particular mask, I think I did it with too high on this one. Yeah, so the majority of the weathering is skin tone. There's not a whole lot of shading on here or anything like that. Just a light dusting throughout the whole mask. Very subtly brought out the bottom of the cheekbone right here and the high side of this one. And then the rest of it's basically on the front right here, the front of the face, and then the neck. Those are kind of really the only areas that I targeted. Everything else, slight bit on the ears. Everything else is just a gradient in the paint to show different levels of skin tone. You can see that kind of back here. There's not really any dirt and grime on this guy at all. in terms of like pinpointing specific areas, making the nose really dirty. And I think it looks really good. It doesn't look too clean in my opinion. It looks a little bit closer to how it, or Jesus, this zooming in a bit makes it look a little bit more accurate to what I'm seeing here. I think this is pretty solid. But yeah, you can see that right there with the sideburns. It probably could use a little bit more white paint and maybe a little bit of grime on there. I do have some hair in there to kind of suggest that there was hair glue down right there, obviously. So yeah, you can kind of see the messiness in the hair this time around. Try to make it look a little bit more gunky and nasty. You kind of got this straight line right here from here to here. I feel like I see that in some of the images. I know that I have said in previous videos that I think there's kind of it kind of like jets back a little bit more right here, and I still do think that's true. But you know, the Michael Myers mask is such a chameleon, so I think it's kind of cool to just kind of do different things every once in a while, because some of the images look so different. I think this look right here, this whole shape, this part right here that jets out, a lot of people are familiar with that. It's actually sculpted into the 78 mask from Tots. But that whole area right there where it jets back, very prominent on the mask. A lot of people are aware of that. But as far as this whole shape right here, I think this is very accurate to a very specific image. And I'll pop that up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But this just straight line, then it jets down, and then you got the kind of the crazier, a more messy look behind. I think that's very accurate to some images for the film. And you can see the pompadours kind of pushed forward a little bit. I don't generally do that a lot because it kind of messes up pictures a little bit. You can see it casts a shadow. But for some angles, it looks pretty nice. But yeah, this guy's not too dirty or anything like that. But I do want to zoom out, or zoom in rather, and then do it by hand. So let's go ahead and switch over to that. All right, guys, there it is, zoomed in just a little bit more. You can see that the neck looks a little bit wider here. The scale of the hair looks a little bit better. Also, I'm very happy with the hair this time around. I'm generally not super thrilled with the way that this particular fiber comes out when it comes to the 78 masks or the Halloween 2 masks. I don't think it's the best, but I think I got a really good kind of nappy look here. You can see that there's a lot of strays hanging out. It doesn't look too big. It looks kind of matted together the amount that I wanted. You're not seeing really any bald spots anywhere that I've really noticed at all. I think the length of the hair is really good. I think the kind of the point that it ends in the back here looks pretty good. I feel like sometimes with some of these masks, the hair can look too short, but like generally speaking, when you look at the images, it looks like the hair ends right about the base of the ear, the base of the earlobe. And I'm just really, really happy with how this came out, and I really hope the customer likes it in person. But you can see some of that discoloration kind of creeping up right there, which it wasn't intentional. It's very similar to what James Carter does with his masks, where he kind of, well, specifically his Halloween 2, where he kind of adds this kind of yellow discoloration up here from the glue. So I think that's kind of cool, a little nod to that. Wasn't really intentional, but I do like it. Over here you can kind of see the same thing happened a little bit, but it looks a little bit more white, where kind of the thickness of the white paint kind of built up and made it look a little bit more gunky, nasty. You can see that shape comes right down and back just the way that I want it to, and then that strand is right there. And yeah, again, you can see that there's not really much dirt collected in some areas. I didn't really bring out the V or anything like that, or the cheeks really. This is mostly just shadow right here. I only added some right there, right there. That's just natural shadow. Yeah, I kind of want to move away from really touching up the cheekbones and just let the lighting do the trick and just kind of give it an even layer of dirt. And, you know, a little bit heavier in some areas like it should be, like on the nose. But yeah, I'm really liking how this came out. You can see the gradient in the paint. Some of the skin tone is thicker in some areas and thinner in others. But overall, the paintwork still has kind of this translucentness to it, which I really like. So if you were to look at this from top down, it looks more white, and then if you were to look at it from bottom up, it looks more skin tone. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I apologize if the furnace is really loud. It's winter right now, it's freezing. I'd rather not turn it off just to do a 20-minute video, but you know, if I go back and watch this and it's too loud, then I'll definitely do that from now on, I suppose. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with this guy that I need to work on is starting the. I just got to work on my eyes in general. I think that's the weakest part, and then again, I'm not really happy with those sculpted glue lines from the Kirk. I'm not a fan of that. I think the best aspect of this guy is really the hair. And again, you can see that zoomed in, the proportions look a little bit better. They look a lot closer than they do in person than it does at this perspective. I don't know if anybody can really see what I'm saying there, but you want the neck to look a little bit wider. And I've been trying to practice stuffing the mask. You know, I got bubble wrap and paper, kind of paper bag, paper material rolled up in there. Got stuffing, what are they called? Cotton balls, all kinds of stuff. I've been trying to get my stuffing game down, but it's just a little bit difficult because there's only a styrofoam ball inside. There's not an actual mannequin head. And if there was a mannequin head under there, then I would have the actual structure of a head to build off of. So I need to get another mannequin head just for these videos so I can stuff these masks properly, because it's really not doing them justice. But yeah, since it's not really nice outside or anything like that, we're gonna skip the outside shots for this video, just because it's just not gonna look good. It's not a good spot, it's all ice out there. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. There'll be some pictures on the Instagram at the @realcox_studios if you'd like to see them, and we'll see if I post some shorts on the channel. But yeah, if you guys liked the video, thanks for watching, and maybe hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell. All that would be greatly appreciated if you decide to do so. And of course, until next time, true believers.